Do 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 do. Change on the outfit. All right, we are going to putter around. We're going to try and have that conversation with Mr. Quentin. The one that I'm unfortunately reasonably certain I know how it will go. But it's okay, it opens up other things. All right. We're going to have this conversation with Huxley, hopefully soon. I don't know where he is. Flatneck's not far. We'll go to Riggs. And then see what's what. This is not meant to be a long stream. This is for the RP purposes. Abdul sort of has been feeling on his own. And I think Mr. Quentin feels like Abdul's kind of been on his own. And I feel like Mr. Quentin's going to put a nail into things and just kind of like, if not end Flatneck, at least like put it on a back burner while Winston and Annie are gone, and like, hey, you don't have to work so hard or at all. And then we are gonna stop streaming after that conversation. There's gonna be a surgery later that I'm interested in for Moody. Not a surgery that Moody is actually like having done to him, but one that he is gonna at least observe, if not assist with. There's a fellow possibly getting a plate put into his head. This is mostly interesting to Abdul because, is it this one? Might be. This is mostly interesting to Moody because it's not a thing that he like knows anything about. It's too far up. He's still learning everything. I don't know if we've really talked about the froggy thing either with Mr. Quentin. But Moody wants to go take part with that because there's a fairly there's a major part of me that it likes the idea of Moody as a nurse, because it means that we're doing more long-term role play with patients, seeing people repeatedly, kind of taking the forefront on certain things, because there's like medics that, well, a lot of the Crossing Department of Health right now are medics or doctors, and there's like 3 or 4 nurses, and the nurses really are the ones that we should have a ton of, but the medics are basically operating like nurses. So not that we want to like bully our way in or anything, but it's like, hey, like, supposed to be doing the stuff a certain way. So he was in Rhodes. And what this does is it just, if he checks his telegrams somewhere and all he sees is that I've sent 2, he can tell that one was in Blackwater and then one was immediately after it in Riggs. So you can kind of tell, oh, yeah, he was headed toward flat neck. And some of that is, I don't know where stuff with Runa is. Thistlebrooke is talking like that's kind of a longer pacing thing. So Abdul may be taking like she can play a lot, and Abdul, I mean, if I'm not actively part of something, there's not a whole lot of reason for me to be playing a ton, and I don't think he's just a full-on criminal. He's definitely opportunistic, which is why we went with the bank yesterday when the Red Jacks offered it. And Mr. Quinton has basically said, like, what you do in your own time is your own thing. Like, as long as it doesn't blow back on the company, I don't care. It's not important. So that's kind of the whole... That was kind of the whole thought process. Was like, let's get Runa out of prison. Let's get her healthy. Let's put her in a position with like Hades and Wayne, where, like Raul suggested, they're teaching new people how to rob banks and run with that. But if there's nothing supporting Flatneck, like if there's no Flatneck to support it, then it's just kind of a moot point.
How you doing, friend?
All right, how are you? Cool. There's a pig just out of its pig pen. Interesting. We'll just wait. And one of the major decisions that I'm making in appearance is Abdul's... Sometimes he's wearing the fancier clothes still, but he's starting to tend back toward the original kind of palette. Oh, there he is. I only got one of them. Interesting.
Ooh,
Mr.
let's
Quinton?
step inside before I get too soaked. How are you? How have you been?
Rather focused on Sisika, but fairly well, I suppose. Opportunities present and so forth.
Right, right. How goes your, I suppose, efforts in taking care of Miss Manette from the outside?
I don't know. She's talking a lot about a variety of folk coming together to protect her or do things she wouldn't expect them to do, thinking maybe she's found some sort of a community. Dr. Ovid, I hope, is helping her. I don't know. I suppose Wainwright still writes me from time to time, telegrams, of course. Apparently he's been trying to work to see if he can even get me in to see her, despite my, well,
Trafficking charge, yeah.
yes, but I don't know. It's occupying a lot of my thinking time. Twice now, Mr. Knox was supposed to pick up a crate of mash last 2 weeks ago, and he got busy with something else, and then this past week he had something else happen, so he paid me half as apology for missing, and then it's just sort of been sitting, but
Well, you know, it's never a healthy mindset to obsess over something that you cannot really affect. I know that's not saying much considering there's a person inside of Sister, but you know,
no, it's true.
best you can do at this point, outside of pestering this Mr. Rainwright, is to hope for the best, yeah, and of course continue correspondence, keep her in the right state of mind.
Quite, which is what I've been trying to do. Mr. Emerson, well, Deputy Emerson, excuse me, also went and saw her, and I've been talking with various people to go and chat with her while they're in there. Nate Bennett is one. He says that she rides with someone who is a bit of a danger to her, but we spoke yesterday and he told me that was Benji, but Festus says Benji has been lying low in Guarma, and I don't think has any plan to return to the crossing anytime soon, so I don't know that even matters now.
All right, let's see.
But that was the biggest concern that I had in terms of people who could influence her thought process from such an easy way, but I don't know.
These seats comfortable?
I don't know if you don't have cards.
I don't think that is. All right. But yeah, you know, I understand your frame of mind. You've heard about Miss Brightwell, yes?
Unfortunately, I didn't hear anything until yesterday, in fact.
Yeah.
I had written her a few times, and then I learned that, well, Hades came and spoke with me. Well,
I must
now
confess I was
understand
rather
why.
confused.
Oh?
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as I was aware, Miss Hades was sort of out of most things involving Mr. Fairville. Ms. Brightwell informs me she essentially, I guess for lack of a better term, baited her into a meeting with Mr. Pavel against her will. It ended up, with some buckshot in her. But of course, that is just Miss Brockwell's side of the story. So if you have a different perspective from Miss Hades, I'd be keen.
The perspective that I have from Miss Hades came with a request to not reveal everything to others unless they went and actually spoke with Hades. So, insofar as I can tell you, Hades, I think, was being friendly, trying to be, and then things happened and Pavel got involved, and I don't know. It's the same thing over again.
Well, without telling anything, do you think it was reasonable?
Which?
The perspective of Miss Hades.
Entirely, unfortunately. In so much as, well, I need to be respectful of that promise.
I don't know. It's just me and the perspective that I currently hold, right? In Miss Hades, Mr. Pavel, they are both bursting at the seams with company.
You are
willing to. Oh,
you're a smart man.
sure.
Do you
Take that
know?
compliment.
Do you know the knight that Ivy / Pavel, who protected her from Roger?
Hades, yeah.
Do you know why?
Hades protected her from Roger?
Yes.
Because I thought at that point in time Hades and Miss Brockwell were friends.
Partially, but also because I sent Hades a telegram and asked her to go find Ivy and either help her get away or do whatever she needed to do. At the time, I thought Ivy was possibly still some sort of a prospect for Flatneck, and she's an investment. You protect your investments. Hades was the first person I could think of who had expressed sufficient questioning of Mr. Pavel's methods, goings on, etc., to possibly just say yes and hash things out later.
So, regardless of all that, my perspective right now is that Hades, Mr. Pavel, and most of those groups being around Limpany, they are bursting at the seams with comrades, friends, people that they can lean on in terms of
They do seem to be, yes.
Yeah. And from my same perspective, Miss Brightwell seems bereft of any of that sort of thing. In fact, it's just my opinion that Miss Hades didn't even need to lead Miss Brightwell into a sort of trap if the matter of fact was that they could simply just picked her up anywhere and took her anywhere to take a conversation with her. She's always outnumbered. She doesn't have anyone to, assist her. Perhaps she had the rude boys, and I use that very lightly. I don't really think
What
she ever
rude
had
boys?
to use. You're right. I don't think she ever had the rude boys having her back or nothing like that. They were trying to brainwash her, but
From speaking with Froggy, there are no rude boys anymore. Waggy rides with Mills. The McKinley brothers don't speak. Froggy himself has claimed Coulter and wants a fence there that connected with us. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, he has plans upon plans, and yeah. But either way, so I don't know. From my perspective, it seems like somebody. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, Miss Ivy did that dumb shit in the fields, yes, with Mr. Pavel. You know, she made her choice there, right then and there. And I know that she
Yep.
would most likely, you know, take the consequences of said choice, but she has much said to me that she considered the matter over. Not that she'd ever, you know, enjoy Mr. Pavel's company ever again or ever deign to be with him, but she wouldn't go seeking him out to continue the bloodshed.
I spoke with Jesse that evening, and he, I guess, asked not Pavel because Pavel was high out of his mind, but he asked Roger if it was done or blood for blood. That's the way of things. Is it over, or do you still want revenge? And Roger rode out with his elephant rifle. So I'm not particularly surprised that Pavel couldn't let it lie with him not having the upper hand, simply because, well, it's Pavel. He can't look weak in front of those who actually still think he has a goal.
Sure, I guess my point is here that when dealing with Brightwell, you never do not have the upper hand. There is no person around,
No, yes, that's
you know, for her to go and
certainly
say,
fair.
hey, help me out. There's a person continually harassing me.
Yes, unfortunately.
Right. So, you know, I've spoken with her since. I think she is washing her hands clean of everything, you know.
Well, good. Perhaps if Pavel has no one to point his finger at and say they're a target, she won't be.
True enough. Either way, I guess that's the way of it. But, yes, she also concerned, you know, she had concerns about your involvement in this whole Hades thing as well.
Yes, well, when you decide to put someone as your next of kin, and it's Hades, and that comes with a certain understanding of siblings, we do things together. When she's about, and she'll kidnap me, and I trust her, so it's fine. She's one of the few people that actually has really made an effort to sort of show me around and do things beyond, oh, can I buy a gun off of you? But as soon as Hades explained what had gone on with the shotgun, I suddenly understood why Ivy was uncomfortable sending me telegrams,
No.
to say the least.
Sure, yeah. Either way, it is what it is. So, you know, with that sort of thing, I suppose she's right out in terms of prospects. But, you know, I think might as well bring it up with the elephant standing in the room.
Do you mean the two that aren't?
Well, the three that aren't, as a matter of fact, potentially even the fourth. You know, these are people I've spoken to who have expressed interest in helping, but I haven't seen hard nor health for a while. Mr. Harkness,
right.
for example.
Yes.
Yes,
I'd forgotten him.
He expressed great interest, and then that was the only day I've seen him. Since coincidentally, I have no eye towards, of course.
No, I don't either. I assume he's quite busy out of state.
And Miss Brightwell, well, that set of unfortunate circumstances in her mindset, of course, I would not want to force her to work with somebody she views is akin to somebody who has betrayed her ultimately.
No, and I don't blame her for it.
So when the elephant in the room comes to here is it, I'm tired of pretending that, you know, this endeavor of ours that we thrust ourselves into is something that we really want to keep going with. You have your attentions elsewhere. You have Miss Minette to take care of.
I do.
As well. And me, myself, I was never a businessman, Mr. Abdul. Hell, I was a con man for a long time, and, you know, there's only so far charming witticisms can get you, but with my libations and medicine and such, it wasn't anything I really tried to play at being for a long amount of time, but these, you know, that Mr. Froggy has a funny way of getting in people's heads and pushing them forward into businesses that they have no right sticking their nose into. This whole thing started with the Rude Boys, funnily enough. Or at least Mr. Froggy and Mr. Country and Mr. Dixon, actually. Mr. Dixon.
Yes, the one that the cougar
Coulter
ate.
was, yes, Coulter was always a Froggy endeavor. In fact, now this is hearsay, of course, but in my mind it was Mr. Froggy and maybe Mr. Dixon that, put it in Whaggy in their head that, they can make a place out of Coulter. Which is why, whenever we ever dealt business with the Rude Boys, it was always through Mr. Dixon and Mr. Froggy, mostly Mr. Dixon.
Right.
It was never with the actual Rude Boys themselves. Mr. McKinley, I must say, was a little business-minded. Mr. Jesse McKinley, he always reached out to try to sell things, but that's there and that. But yeah, so Mr. Froggy and me go fairly far back. We did a few bank jobs in the past. And he always tried to push me towards this sort of thing. But, moving forward, it's obviously very apparent that it was to build me up so that he may have a contact with which to do business with,
Right.
And I pushed hard for a bit, I made relations with some folks, and it was all well and good. I've been making those relations regardless. But I think the best of it to come out of it was you, Mr. Abdul. I think you worked far too expressly towards a goal. It was never a guarantee in the first place. And for that, you have my thanks.
Well, it was something to do, I suppose.
Yeah,
I do. To be honest, I never. The Flat Neck Trading Company side of things was more an interesting possibility, I suppose. The piece that I found much more interesting was the innate neutrality that you preach.
Yeah.
Avoiding blood feuds and such. Staying in Thieves as I did when Pavel left, the only fellow who was there was Mr. Julian, who I've not seen for some time now, but Julian also preached such things. And, I suppose if you're a fence, it's much easier to be regarded as someone who is neutral without also being accused of being a fence sitter, because you yourself are the fence, so to speak, which is where Flatneck made sense when you presented it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there.
It's difficult to turn down certain people, especially when there's some aspect of give and take. The sort of, people say the principle of the thing, I suppose, whatever that means.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think we both know for a while we were just floating along there, playing telegram tag for a bit.
Indeed.
I think it best. I think you know as well. You hear that?
I did. I don't know what, though.
Anyways, we both got to get let off this leash we put on ourselves. Break free, do what we need to do. Don't have to worry about it anymore. I mean, some goods come of it. We both got wagons. We both got shit we can do. Ways to make us valuable so we don't get the fuck robbed out of us every single time we meet people on the road.
And people who think that we have value, which is nice.
I mean, it ain't a fucking lie. We do have value. But yeah.
I wasn't necessarily going to tell you, but the Red Jacks took me on a bank job yesterday.
How'd it go?
First one ever. Well, if what Runa says is true, it happened to coincide with the murder of a guard in Sisika, so we went in with a hostage, left with a hostage, left him in the street of Blackwater, and never saw any even hint of a badge. But they let me. Well, it came up because I mentioned wanting to spin wanting to learn how to open safes from Wayne after that day that he taught Ivy. Because for all of Runo's flaws, she does enjoy a bank, and I don't know, if I'm meaning to carve any sort of future with someone, I should at least find something in their interests that I can agree with, you know? And feeding deputies to wild animals is certainly not it. I mean, worth a try. Worst case scenario, we get caught and I wound up in Sisika where I can see her finally. Or we don't. We get away scot-free and I have an experience under my belt, which is how things went. So, ever the opportunist is Abdul-Qadir.
Sure, yeah. Well, like I said, you know, I think we're good. We got what we needed to do. If you ever need any help in the future, of course, Mr. Abdul, you have my telegram, you have my friendship before anything else.
And you mine.
I believe I'm going to try to continue to reform Miss Brockwell into a place in her, you know, in the crossing that is hopefully lacking of people lurking in the shadows ready to try to kill her.
Very true. I wish you the best of luck, given the way that she feels about at least Hades, if not also me. I think it's probably best if I simply warn her if Pavel's going to be around and don't go near it otherwise, probably.
I don't know if I even do that. You know how people can misconstrue. You remember that, wasn't there someone you tried to warn, but they took it like as a threat? And yeah, it was Benji. Wasn't it Benji?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, you were saying, you know.
Fair enough. Then let me rearrange my wordings until she is in a position where she can trust that my heart is good. I will simply say hello if I see her, and that's the extent of it.
I might be spending some time over in Guarma. Maybe seeing what I can do to help out Mr. Bradshaw, since he was
it is a nice place.
Yeah, well, he was one of the first friends I made when I came into the state, and he never done any wrong by me, so. And I do like the idea of this Guaman bank thing he's setting up and working towards.
Interesting notion.
Oh yeah, you were off the train. Yeah, that's right. So that day after the masquerade, he brought us all to Guarma.
Mm-hmm.
Did a little bit of gambling, did a little bit of snoozing, etc. But he announced that they had plans going forward for Guarma to open a bank for, of course, like-minded folks who don't like to deal with Saints Crossing Sheriff's Department.
Sure.
And the way it would go is essentially that they would have Guarman stamped gold bars. That essentially act as a token or collateral. You give the Guarman Bank however much money, they give you how many gold bars. And anytime you need to withdraw said money, you turn in a bar, and then you have that money back.
So it's exactly like gems, I suppose.
Yeah, except they're attributing a particular value to those Guarman stamped bars.
The one that everyone agrees on.
Yeah, exactly. I like the idea because, I mean, gold bars are known as fuck to do anything with in the first place. And this gives them a little bit more, I don't know, well, at least for the Guarmans anyways, you know, once they stamp that shit on there. Well, how are they going to do it? I ain't too sure what his plan is for that. You know, because the first thing I expressed to him was my concern of counterfeits.
Right.
But apparently he's got some sort of idea for it, so.
I hope that goes well.
One of the things the FTCI was brewing on was doing banking and shit, but fortunately, hardest thing to get somebody to do is trust you when it comes to handling their money, so.
Indeed.
Anyways, yeah, so You know, I'm sure Mr. Winston and Miss Anna will be floating around here sometime and break the bad news to them. But I don't think they'd be surprised or anything.
Sure, be happy to.
I mean, you know, whichever one they get to first, you and me.
Right, right.
Well, like I said, Mr. Abdul, I wish you the best luck in your endeavors with Miss Manette and
No,
you
I
know,
appreciate
everything
it.
going forward.
It's been a pleasure, Mr. Huxley.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And do keep in touch again. You need any assistance with anything or
Of course.
etc. Any questions? You just toss me a telegram.
Do you know, it occurs to me, I don't know that this entire time I've ever given you my actual full name.
Was it not Abdul Mason Al Qadir or something like that?
No, Abdul-Qadir is my first name. It is
Right,
Abdul... it is a mouthful, you don't need to remember most of it, but it is Abdul-Qadir Mustafa Buttress El-Masri. El-Masri just means the Egyptian in Arabic.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But
Yeah, I
that's
ain't
the
gonna
family
pretend
name, so...
Try to
you
pronounce
don't need to. Abdul-Qadir or Abdul, or, you know.
Absolutely. All right, Will. Good to meet you formally then. My name is Quentin M. Huxley. I do have a middle name.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
But
Never found out what it's for.
you have a middle name, but it's just an initial, you mean?
Yeah, I guess so. It's a strange one, but yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know what the answer is.
Could be anything you want, as long as it starts with an M, I suppose.
Yeah, I should just change it every time I introduce myself.
Yeah, why not?
All right.
Half the time now it's, I don't know, mercenary or Marvel worker or, I don't know.
You trying to flatter me here? I gotta agree.
No, but you yourself have mentioned being a con man, so it could
yeah.
assist.
I have on occasion sold some snake oil.
Who hasn't, I suppose, out here?
You know, to fix one's ruminations.
Very true. Well, I shall have to... Well, Runa gets out next week. At that point, I think she's going to be at the birdhouse in Valentine. I don't know if I'll even see them anytime soon, but perhaps I'll talk with Mr. Jesse Gold at some point about some things, and some others about some things, and probably break the bad news to Froggy and Rattlesnake.
Sure. But I mean, you know, maybe our endeavors as a company are, you know, gone, but that don't mean that we ourselves can't. You know, we've got the experience now.
It's very true, but they want someone to live up in Coulter, and it's far too fucking cold.
Oh, yeah, fuck that shit. Yeah, I don't like the idea of working exclusively with somebody. I don't know
No, I'd rather not do that either. But
well,
if
yeah.
Mr. Knox wants to
you know.
continue his deal, I will
Oh yeah, absolutely.
continue on that. And
Trash can. Here it is.
Yep.
In the bin.
perhaps sometime in the future, if stars align, we can revisit the idea. But
Sure, yeah,
That's
no,
a-
absolutely.
that's a long
As it
way.
is right now, you know, motivations are just low. That's all it is.
certainly. Well, for the time being, you know where to find me.
Do I actually?
Well, I'm living in Thieves until Runa gets out,
Oh, okay, all right. Yes.
and then we may consider moving to Valentine or something.
All right. Well, let's not get too crazy.
True,
The only
it is
reason we even
Valentine.
interacted with that town is that we were here. Limpany, is Pavel still in Limpany? Still doing Limpany shit?
I don't know. I haven't seen Mr. Pavel since he got his throat cut, believe it or not.
Okay.
I don't think. I
think
may
the
have seen him
Hounds
once
are in
since
Van
then.
Horn
But
now.
I think a lot of people are in Van Horn now. I think the Red Jacks might have been there, or maybe still in Lemoyne. I don't know.
Would Red Jacks just don't like that dump Shady Bill?
I think there were too many people in Shady Bell for a while. That's where Benji the Kid was for a minute, and Blue Dog as well, actually. Though I've not seen
alright.
Blue Dog either.
Well, you know how it goes. They tend to come in, they come out. Mr. Blue
True.
Dog has easy access to an elephant rifle, so you just gotta wait for his arch nemesis to show up, I guess.
True. I should send Blue Dog a telegram and tell him, if you happen to think of it, shave the man's mustache before you shoot him. Give it to me in a bag.
What for?
Hooper was the one at the auction that got me stuck out here while Runa's in there.
I thought you meant the arch nemesis in the armored wagon that needs to shoot the elephant rifle.
Well, I thought that was Thomas Hooper, is it not?
No.
Oh. I was told that it was.
I'll do.
Alright.
No. Hooper just Hooper, that's all.
Indeed.
Alright, well. Bon voyage, Mr. Abdul.
Assalamu alaikum. Always is. Always is. Tell Ivy hello, and, well, she can expect that that's the most, probably, from me, but...
Alright, okay.
And there it is. I knew it was coming. So now we go to rigs, and we go, yep. So what I thought was maybe happening is happening. We're going to focus on Minnie being in the birdhouse. Pavel can have his conversation whenever he wants to have his conversation. I don't know that it's going to do any good now. Because as far as Abdul is concerned, the vested interest in Ivy's gone. So at this point now, it's just treatment of... It's just how Pavel treats people, and it's like, well, I mean, you cut Waylon down. You shot Ivy down. What's to say you wouldn't shoot me down? That's all that it is. We are men of opportunity. You create opportunities, and I take them. And, well... And there we go. Cool. I didn't think it would take long. We've just been... Tanixi and I have just been dancing in circles because when he's been on Quentin, it's been later because Aldrich, his prison guard, well, Sisika's popping off and has been for a while partially because Runa's in Sisika. So there's a captive audience. Why are you 265? Boris. Unfortunately, I don't, my friend. Do we want to send anything to anyone else? Oh yeah, I have met Barton. Oh, wrong Barton. She meant Donnie Barton. We're going to close. We're going to look at it again real quick. And then we're going to go to Thieves. And I'm going to hop off. Boris. Catch you on. That's such a weirdly modern thing to say. Ooh, excuse me. Woohoo! All right. Short stream conversation. I guess we're on chapter 4 now. I'm gonna have to figure out what to call it. I wish, like, Hades was on. Or Wayne was on or something. Like, I wish there was somebody around to just kind of like, okay. But at the same time, I don't. Like, I don't feel like Abdul... I feel like Abdul needs to be kind of by himself with his thoughts for a bit. Like, this is the main reason, the only, like, I telegrammed Hades an update, but I didn't really tell her anything. Oh yeah. We're gonna stick with the classic Abdul look for now. This one right here. The giveaway, of course, is going to be that I'm still using FTC things. Like, I had a Navy I could sell to Boris. I don't really... I mean, it's labeled FTC. I'm just going to hang on to it. Of the stuff that I have... So I have a Lancaster and a Navy. I have a Schofield that I bought from Fester. Stuff to make dynamite. And a thing full of mash for Nox. Which I'll have to connect with him at some point and give him. But other than that, we don't really have anything going on. Which I suppose is kind of where we want to be. We'll have to figure out if we even want to be a fence now. So it'll be ignoring, we'll be ignoring telegrams for certain people for a while. Rattlesnake, unfortunately, is one of those. But yeah, thanks for watching that. Anybody that did. I will catch you later. I'll be back on maybe in like an hour. I'll be doing some med stuff. And then going to San D for the surgery. Excuse me. Thanks, friends. Adios.